Welcome, dear viewers, to a tale that ventures beyond the veil of reality, into the depths of our darkest fears. Tonight, we explore the story of the Midnight Game, an urban legend that whispers of a boundary between our world and something else. A game that is said to be just a myth, a mere ghost story to frighten the unwary. But in the small town of Eldridge, a group of teenagers discovered the horrifying truth. Gather around, keep the lights dim, and prepare yourself for a journey into the unknown. This is not just a story. This is a warning. In the heart of autumn, when the nights grew long and the air whispered with the chill of coming winter, a tale of darkness unfolded in the small town of Eldridge. A group of teenagers, driven by the thrill of the forbidden and the allure of the unknown, gathered in the dilapidated house at the edge of Willow Creek. The house, abandoned for years, held within its crumbling walls secrets that were better left undisturbed. Among these secrets was the Midnight Game, a ritual said to be nothing more than an urban legend, a ghost story to scare the naive. But for Alex, Jordan, Casey, and Mia, it was a challenge they couldn't resist. As the clock struck 11, the group began the preparations with a mix of excitement and apprehension. They each wrote their full names on a piece of paper, pricked their fingers to add a drop of blood, and placed the papers in front of an unlit wooden door. With candles in hand, they knocked on the door 22 times, the final knock as the clock tolled midnight, and opened it to the dark abyss beyond, inviting the Midnight Man into our world. The game had begun. The rules were simple. Avoid the Midnight Man at all costs until 3:33 a.m. If your candle went out, you had 10 seconds to relight it. If you failed, you had to surround yourself with a circle of salt for protection. It sounded easy enough, a child's play, they thought. But as the night crept on, the atmosphere within the house shifted. The air grew colder, the silence not just empty but oppressive, as if something unseen was breathing down their necks. Jordan's candle was the first to flicker out, snuffed by an unseen force. Panic set in as he fumbled with his lighter, the darkness around him pressing in like a physical weight. When the flame finally sparked to life, it revealed not the familiar walls of the old house, but a corridor he had never seen before, its walls pulsing with shadows that seemed to whisper his name. It was clear then. The Midnight Game was no myth. They were playing for their lives. One by one, they were separated, each plunged into their own personal nightmare. Casey found herself trapped in a room filled with mirrors, each reflection showing her not as she was, but as she feared to become, alone, forgotten, a shadow of herself. Mia wandered into a library where the books held not words, but the screams of those who lost the game before her, their pleas for help etching into her soul. Alex, the skeptic, the one who had convinced them all to play, faced the Midnight Man himself. A figure of impenetrable darkness, its form shifting and twisting, never fully revealed. It spoke in a voice that was a cacophony of all their fears, promising an end that was neither death nor life, but eternal torment in the darkness. As 3:33 a.m. approached, with every tick of the clock loud as a heartbeat in their ears, desperation took hold. The realization that they might not survive the night cemented their resolve. They remembered the salt, the one protection against the Midnight Man. Working together, guided by their voices, they found each other in the darkness. Surrounded by circles of salt, they waited, breaths held, as the presence of the Midnight Man loomed over them. It was a test of wills, a battle of endurance. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The oppressive darkness lifted, the silence broken by the sound of their own ragged breaths. They were alone, the morning light beginning to seep through the broken windows. The game was over, but the scars it left were not so easily healed. Each had faced their deepest fears, had stared into the abyss and seen it stare back. They emerged from the house as the sun rose, not as the carefree teenagers who had entered, but as survivors, forever changed. The Midnight Game, a whispered warning against the folly of summoning what you do not understand, had found new voices to carry its tale. In the heart of Eldridge, in the house at the edge of Willow Creek, it waits for the next players, for the next souls brave or foolish enough to knock on its door at midnight. Thank you for listening, for walking this shadowed path with me tonight. Until we meet again, keep the lights on and never forget, the darkness holds more than just fear. Good night.